I got two hands, I got my mouth, I know how to earn money.
Okay, while my heat cools down, did you ever have an epiphany? Did you ever uh, sit back for one moment as a viewer, even as a vlogger, that you kind of suck all this shit in through the years? It's not really a philosophical moment, but maybe it is. But 24, what the fuck? Okay, let's get to the point. I've been following, sort of following. It comes out on my feed. There's a guy named Patrick Haynes. And this guy developed cancer. He had a big old, big old tumor on his lung near his heart. Okay, it was in pain. And he's been in and out of the hospital, going through a lot of shit. And, you know, test after test, um, getting whatever therapy he needs, and hoping and praying that he's been, having people follow him for updates and all that stuff, right? And poor guy, he lives in, I don't know, I think Ohio or somewhere. It don't matter where he lives, but he's American. And what this guy's going through, and they're pretty much telling him, well, he had not only the tumor, but, got into one of his ribs, and they can't even remove the rib. It's spread. It's you know, metastatic cancer pretty much. And now they have to aggressively hit him with a lot of radiation, which could also be toxic to his body. They told him maybe years or something, but from 2 weeks ago, it's really got became really aggressive. His cancer. Okay. Now he's got a girlfriend. He's got a kid on the way, I think. Imagine how she feels, and imagine how he feels. Yeah, what's the point of all this? Some guy who has cancer, and it is when just think about everything that goes on YouTube here. I mean, the fact is, who cares what Slim does? Chase after. I'm just gonna give you all the local yokel crap on here, with the players that we have on YouTube, and how insignificant, you know, these people, what they do with their lives, and if they do things to destroy their own lives, they're doing it on their own. Of course, you know, everything yields an audience, right? And there's an audience for just about everything. There's an audience for my show. There's an audience for every one of these YouTubers out there. Because everybody wants to hear something. Want to be entertained, whatever you want to call it. And how insignificant, when you think, for example, would you put more energy into, you know, mocking, knocking, maiming, accusing, uh, the whole 9 yards, and get involved with the chicanery on YouTube if you were in a situation where you had cancer or something like this guy, Patrick Haynes? It's insignificant. And it really doesn't have to come to that. I mean, I think people need to wake up a little bit and examine their own lives and put more energy into your own life and your relationship, or whatever you do with your life outside of YouTube. Yes, hello, people. You know, who cares what Asian Adventures with Jim is doing? And I got to sneeze, so hold on. Phew! Okay, that's one thing that doesn't change my allergies. But I could live with that. But that's a key word. I could live with allergies. Metastatic cancer. You can't live with that. That's my point. Like this guy Patrick has. He's not the only one. I've seen other feeds, but he's the one I've been sort of kind of following. Because it comes out of my feeds. Because I must have hit the following button or something on there. But yeah, and it's really horrible. It's really horrible because you're not thinking about trolls. You're not thinking about this or that. The guy's like fighting for his life. Okay, and when it comes down to that, you realize how insignificant the goings on in YouTube really is. It's totally insignificant. What people say about you or me or anybody else, it's so insignificant. So people get involved with, I don't know, they just spend their time, as I said, basically doing what they do best, trolling. Now, would these people be doing that if they had something like this guy, Patrick, metastatic cancer? I don't know, maybe some still would. They may do this to their deathbed. I don't know. Maybe some actually would. But that has to do with their psychology more so. But just think about it. Who cares what Slim does on Pro Life Traveler? What's his newest thing? Oh, he met a 21-year-old. If you people cannot realize that, he's leading you around, you're tethered to this guy and others. He's dragging you by your nose into this big delusionary, uh, very choreographed show that he does all the time to get your attention. And it does because the numbers show it, right? He's making money off of you. Now, besides him choreographing all this stuff, he knows that if he does this and does that you don't like, he's going to continue to do the things that you don't like, right? It goes to say, and you guys get sucked up into this. We all get sucked up into it. I mean, that's the nature of the beast, okay? And it works very well for these people. But I guess what I'm saying on here is that, in reality, does it matter to you or anyone what people are doing with their life, either whether they're trying to improve it or whether they're, you know, trying to just get your attention and do stupid things to get your attention, and you're stupid enough to get involved with it? We're all guilty of that shit. I'm guilty as hell. To just go along with any of this shit, even to talk about, for example, now, because I've mentioned names, it's my doings too, okay? And maybe I do because I figure that's what you want to hear, right? And it usually is. It usually is. But it's all nonsense. It's so insignificant what somebody thinks of you. They're not living your life. You got to think that way. Not many people have anything nice to say about anybody here on YouTube, but that's the whole shtick. That's the thing that they do on here. Because, again, it's a numbers game, clicks, views, subscribers, AdSense. And you want to get it any way that you possibly can. Whether it pisses somebody off, it's just, I mean, they're not worried about hurting somebody's feelings. That's the least of their concerns. It's a numbers game. It's always been a numbers game. That, I don't think, ever changes. Okay, so kind of picture this. You're a YouTuber. Or one of these voyeurs, one of these viewers. Okay. Either way, Whether you have a show or you don't, you just like to listen and maybe comment on people's shows. Now think about this. Are you really going to give a shit about what I say? Are you really going to give a shit about what other people say about you, or just listening to them talk about all this negative crap on here? If you yourself were having some life threatening illness or something, or you're in terrible pain or something, are you going to give a shit what somebody says about you? Or what they say about anybody else for that fact? No, you're not. That's just the way it works. Because you're feeling good right now, right? You don't think anything's going to happen to you. Well, certain elements of your lifestyle might, pretty much determine whether you're going to be on the other end of the stick. Okay? Maybe it hasn't come yet, but what if it did? What if it did? I'd be so insignificant, and everybody else would be so insignificant because you're not thinking about, oh, gee, I just saw somebody's show today. You should have heard what he did. Or I heard a rumor about this, or a rumor about that. Is it really going to matter? No, it's not going to matter. You got bigger fish to fry, like, for example, your life. Like this guy, Patrick. He's not really a YouTuber. I mean, I don't know. He's on social media because he's trying to get GoFundMe to help out his girlfriend with expenses and upcoming kid or something. And he certainly has a right to do it. He does push it quite a bit, though, which made me believe in the beginning that it was all a scam. But no, he had his camera on while this doctor was giving him the, prognosis and what needs to be done. So he's for real. I questioned him for a little bit. But good morning, Mr. Sophia. I see you on some other show commenting or something. I don't know. I don't think it was anything bad. So what's the purpose? What am I saying this morning? And I'm up later because I got up early and went back to bed. I haven't even had my tea. It's cooling off here. My famous tea. How insignificant. Oh yeah, it might be fun to watch, and it's like a soap opera. Speaking of soap operas, I was very surprised that General Hospital is still on. I made a statement on that because, Popeye, who had been watching soap operas, and, although his life is a soap opera, I'll say that much, but still on. Even some of the old characters are still alive and on there. General Hospital. Popeye's doing with his time. 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever it is, it goes on. Okay. But anyway, we all get caught up in this shit. And I certainly have. It's not that I never realized I did, but I never realized how much I got caught up in this. Now, don't get me wrong. I never gave a shit about what anybody would say about me. Okay. And even those that might say good things about me, because they're generally trolls trying to kiss up to me going under another name. Well, I know it's sad to think that way, but that's the way it is on here. Some of the people that may follow you regularly are actually trolls under a different name. I know that. I realize that. I'm not that stupid. Which brings things to a reality with me. Yeah, I just honestly don't think I want to continue a future on social media. I still got a few fish to fry myself. You got to understand that. And I'm also taking care of myself. Now, I'm not ill or anything like that, but, what if I was? Would I still be doing a show? I mean, honestly, if I was really ill, would I be even tempted to come on YouTube and have to share my ills with a bunch of trolls who will get off on it? No, I wouldn't do that. Where am I at? I'm in the Philippines. Mr. Luciano. Luca Luciano, I like that. No, I'm an American living in the country of the Philippines. I'm on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, I know that. That's because I got my hands on a camera. I don't always come on camera. So there's nothing wrong with your phone. Okay. Nothing wrong with your phone. It's more like a radio show. I got the face for radio. Okay. Well, either you're going blind or I got my hand on the camera, on the lens. Lucas. Now, I just want my viewers to think about this for a second. Who cares what, say, for example, Asian Adventures with Jim? Who gives a fuck what he does in Cambodia? Okay. Who gives a fuck whether that underage girl he's hanging around with, he's boning her? Who fucking cares? It doesn't matter the scheme of life, does it? Who cares what, you know, Mike's Philippines Adventures, whatever does? And whether or not Janet is really still with him or she left him. Or how many chicks that Brevis is fucking on the side and getting pregnant, and how many members of the harem does Big E have? And it's so fucking insignificant. It doesn't affect your life at all. And you gotta think that way, people. It really doesn't. Because if they're doing something wrong, they'll pay for it one way or the other, and whether you're a believer in karma or whatever, or the law or whatever. It'll happen. It always does. We've seen it happen. Or they croak because they don't take care of themselves. I mean, we've certainly seen that happen. How many people on the list? Sorry, I didn't write everybody's names down who were trolls that have now passed away. Life goes on. But then it doesn't sometimes either. Sometimes life actually ends. Huh? Esvino says, Popeye loves watching soaps. Yeah, it's pretty sad, I know. But we're doing it right now. Do you understand what's happening? Do you really care what Popeye does? Or whether he's immobile? Does it matter in the scheme of life? Does it affect your life in any way? That's my point. Did you, Brevis and Jerry, did a live together? No. No, I have not. Why would I? Why would I? Why would I go down that route? I mean, so this is kind of a wake-up call to my viewers. And also to myself. I've had many wake-up calls. Call it an epiphany, or call it whatever you want to call it. I've had many of them. But it really comes down to one thing. I mean, people that devote channels to me, boy, if I'm that important in their life, that amazes me right there, really. A good slice of society. Look what's going around in the world. Fucking idiots, killing a bunch of Jewish people because they were Jewish over in Bondi Beach in Australia. Guys running around with fucking automatic weapons, killing shitloads of people. We got a president who's insane, certifiably insane, who's going to start a World War III. This country like Venezuela, who he swears all the drugs are coming out of Venezuela when it's not. and blows up with 2 missiles, not one, a small boat with Venezuelans saying that little boat was going to be a big threat to a big aircraft carrier or some shit like that or whatever. I mean, you got this president running the country. Now that's significant. That's significant. What people should be putting their attention to. This guy is making people more poor than they are. He's fucking with people's lives, and he said such a horrible thing about Rob Reiner, who recently got killed by him and his wife, by his son. And you got a president that you voted for that makes fun of stuff like this, who has no conscience at all, who calls people stupid and retarded, and he's a president. The guy's a fucking president, but you voted for him, so shame on you. You could burn your MAGA hats, buddies, because it's going to be worthless. Okay. I didn't vote. I didn't either. What's that? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing all that. Oh, Classic Green. What's up? I mean, Israel, Classic Green. I didn't vote for him. Yes, Savino says Jerry and Brevis were out drinking together. Who cares? Who cares? You got to train your mind a little bit here, Ed. What does it matter whether Jerry and Brevis go out drinking together? What does it matter if a fucking D9 dozer just accidentally on purpose ran over him? Who cares? These are insignificant people leading insignificant lives. And everybody gets so concerned. We all get caught up in this. I get caught up in this. We talk about Jim, we talk about Slim, Mike's Filipino, you name it. Whether it's Big Kevin or whether it's Big E and his harem, and it don't matter. People are going to do what they want to do. If somebody wants a harem, okay, and it's the money that bonds them together, then that's the relationship. That's the relationship that they chose. We know who has a real relationship on here or not. I think we figured it out. We don't have to spend needless time and effort to try to, you know, dissect what's really going on in somebody's relationship. Why should we care? It's not our relationships. It's not yours. It's not mine. Why does it matter so much to you people? Seriously. I feel the same way, Classic Green Ninja. Next time they shouldn't miss Trump. Yeah, their scope was a little bit maladjusted or whatever. A little bit off its target. A little bit off its target. Too bad. There was 2 attempts. Now this is a guy. Tyranny. I mean, name every derogative thing that a person could be accused of and has actually done, that this president has done. The guy is mentally ill. We could talk about that. He doesn't respect anybody. And the things that he's done and how he uses it as power in his position. But I don't really want to concentrate on Trump because it'll turn my stomach. All right. Mr. Aishayat plays. Good night to you. So I'm just trying to make a point here. Yeah, my interest in YouTube has really faded, other than the things I like to watch on here by my choice, informative things that are on YouTube. It could be medical, it could be anything, mythical, whatever it might be. Things that make sense, things that are worth watching. It has nothing to do with trolls. It has nothing to do with what's going on in somebody's life, something which would be very insignificant to me, you know. And for those that are listening, I mean, seriously, would you still be attacking people and giving a shit what people think about you or anybody else if you had some kind of metastatic cancer or something, or some horrible illness? Would you still be a troll? Are you that sick? And that's not physically, but that's mentally. Would you still be on here doing the shit that you do? I know people like Popeye would. I know that. Till his day of death, he'll be creating his little skits, spewing all his hate. Some people can't change no matter what. That's so sad. Witness somebody else going through some horrible medical condition or in terrible pain or whatever. Think about what they think. Do you think that person gives a shit what anybody thinks about them? They're thinking about their life, their comfort, their longevity. They're not worried about some stupid trolls on here. That's the least that they want to think about or even talk about. But you guys have been trained in such a way that they got you trained. Yeah, I mean, actually, they got you trained. They got that fucking rope in your fucking nostrils and they're dragging you around into their world, into their drama. You're all tethered to the trolls. You know, we all talk about Slim, the Estonian guy, who's brilliant, by the way. He's brilliant on what he does. And you people fall right into his trap, and it's making him rich. What's the last title of his show? Oh, I found this really great 21-year-old when he knows that everybody knows he's married and has a kid. Well, you know, again, if we have to go talk about that, I would venture to say that it's a living arrangement with this Filipina. Thought about it. I think it's a living arrangement. I don't think it's his kid. And I don't think he's married to her either. But you got to see through the smoke screen if you have the capability of doing that. You have the insight. I think it's more of an arrangement. But she don't mind. I mean, he's bringing her gifts all the time. Poor girl is so hungry when he brings up food. She's like she's starving. Well, he's out having 4-course meals. I mean, look, people are going to do, the point is, people are going to do what they do to get your attention. 10 watching, 10 thumbs up. There we go. There is no escape, said Ashayat plays. Look around in the world, what's going on, folks. I mean, seriously. There are more important things going on in the world than what goes on here on YouTube. I am guilty as charged with, you know, falling into these traps and seemingly giving a shit what people think, or, you know, well, I've allowed myself to do that. That's with everybody. Let me check on my tea. Got another. No, it's probably still hot. Probably still hot. Well, I guess I'm just trying to drive a point through. It's not that I've never talked about this before, because I have. But I'm just trying to emphasize and bring to the attention of people that don't realize what's actually going on and how these people are affecting you. I mean, come on, look what YouTube does. Look what I'm going through right now, where some asshole I put in jail, and rightfully so, and he gets his girlfriend to file a complaint on me to try to enact revenge on me. I mean, this is like atypical on YouTube, okay? There's nothing good that comes out of YouTube, let's put it this way, unless, of course, you know, your money oriented, of course. And you to do anything, it doesn't matter how it affects positively or negatively somebody else's life, but you just want that drama. Go get him, let's go get him. I'll show you. That's all it is I'll show you. And a lot of you fall for that shit. Hey, Sop, you want to come in? Come on. Okay. Let there be light. 15 watching, 11 thumbs up. Ooh. Like it matters, right? Hear that rooster in the background? You can hear it because he's alive. Life goes on until it can't. The rooster's not worried about fucking YouTube. He has no idea what fucking YouTube is. The rooster just wants to survive and find the bugs to eat and find a little hen there to fuck, you know, to whatever. Doesn't care about YouTube. I mean, what did you guys do before there was social media? That's a very good question. What did these trolls do before their social media? Did they chase little kids down the street with a stick or something? I mean, what did they do before there was social media? Seriously speaking, it's like the question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Were these people always bastards, or did they become bastards out of boredom or nothing going on in their life or something? I mean, you know, who put the bees in their bonnet, really? So if there was no social media, what did you guys do? You were a reject of society? Oh, then when, of course, social media came along, man, I got an outlet now. And I can protect myself behind my screen in my home. And I can say whatever I want. And nobody's going to touch me. That's that attitude that actually gets them in trouble. Nobody's going to do nothing. You can't do nothing. Well, tell it to the guy that's going on 3 years detention in prison. Ask him about that. And who put him there? Well, he put himself there, actually. When you narrow it down, he put himself there. I'm the one that just kind of helped him along. I just helped him along. So I'm the bad guy. Hmm. Let's examine that. The bad guy for what? For protecting my reputation? For acting upon something that really needed to be acted upon? When something just went too far? Where you found yourself in a position that you had to act on something? Think about it. Put yourself in my shoes, unless you're in my shoes. You wouldn't really understand. You wouldn't get it. No, you wouldn't get it. When it affects you, oh yeah, okay, now you'll get it. But it's fun just listening to somebody else's woes or what they're going through. But that ain't going to happen to me, you all think to yourselves. But it can, and it did to some. Some, their fate met them and they're dead now. I could name at least 8 trolls that are dead who were quite notorious on here. Is it karma? Is it fate? What is it? Montezuma's revenge. What is it? It's too coinky dinky. At least the way I think, anyway. It's just too coinky dinky. Well, okay, a lot of it had to do with their lifestyle, too. A lot of these people were very sedentary. They were extraordinarily obese. And they drink like a fucking fish. Jesus Christ, I was I was watching this guy's feed, and this guy was he was definitely a medical professional, there was no question. He said with just one drink, he even said that even that wine that you have with your supper or whatever, what it does to you. Well, we always thought that wine was just, well, it was beneficial. In some ways it was, but wine was still an alcohol and it still had an effect. And one of the common denominators here, which I talk about all the time, and I do mean all the time, is that most of these expats living out here in the Philippines, or even viewers and, I call them voyeurs, all alcoholics. Oh, sure, they could put out all the comments they want about somebody, but who's the one that's sitting over here laughing? And why am I laughing? Because they're a stick of dynamite that's ready to go off at any time. A lot of them are sedentary. They got bellies that stick out about 18 inches. Uh, you're privy to actually sometimes see what their diet is, and you're thinking to themselves, they're killing themselves. As I said, I'm not perfect because I do have one habit. I'm willing to put myself on the platform and say, yeah, I'm doing something still presently that's not good for me. But as I also say, where some people do everything that's bad for them, I'm at least doing good things, whether it's diet, whether it's supplementation, whether it's exercise. Sure, I hate smoking. Let me tell you something. It's going to have to come to a point I am going to have to put the pack down. Comes that time in your life when you're old enough and say, this ain't good, can't be good. It can't be good. Then why do it? Well, that's why it's called an addiction. But, Jane's Addiction, that's a band, by the way, for those that are not musically aficionados, and I'm not a music aficionado, but Jane's Addiction, where they all have an addiction. And not all of it is physical. Not all of it is smoking or drinking. Their addiction to hate, to lack of their own self-respect. And therefore, if they can't respect or love themselves, they go on a tangent and they try to spew all their hate and all the things in their life that they're not living, that they're not doing, that they don't have any solid relationships, they don't have any game plan for their life in their retirement, who just sit there on their phones or desktop or laptops and like to make horrible comments about people and remind people about their ill doings when they have so many of their own. Think about it. See, my show acts as a wake-up call to people, and they know it is, because some of the things I talk about on here, it hits people pretty hard, and it's intended to do so. I don't choreograph everything, but sometimes I do, and it works, and sometimes it don't, but I think I get my message out there pretty well. All these idiots are going to be dead. And with their lifestyles, they're already on their way. Oh, people make fun about everything. Oh, your age. Are you going to die because you're this age? How many years does he have left? Well, nobody really knows. I don't know. I could croak today or tomorrow. So can you. But you don't want to live to think that way. You want to live each day and live it the way you want to live, not what somebody's expecting you to live. It's not always my way or the highway. And you got to get rid of that kind of thought, that train of thought. It's not always your way or the highway. People don't have to live your life. There's Billings Flying Circus. Hello. Yeah, I know. Amazing, huh? So for those people that think I'm just totally stupid and think that I'm stressing from the mud pies that has been thrown against me and to my witness of all the mud pies being thrown against everybody else out there, people fighting with each other, when it could be a World War III coming. I mean, there's so many significant things you should be thinking and talking about. Like the president who's gone insane. That's going to affect everybody's life, whether you live in the United States or not. Yeah, that's important shit to talk about. It's going to affect your wallet or something in your life. It may even affect your ability to immigrate into another country, even just for a visit. The guy lost his fucking mind. And a lot of you have voted for this bastard. Shame on you. Burn those MAGA hats. Melanie Areola. Areola? You know what an areola is? Okay. That's an interesting name. So for those people to think that I sit here and I'm stressing out about people doing shows about me, devoting shows to me, recording my shows, that speaks for itself. What are they doing with their lives? Got my point? I think you do. Or maybe some of you it hasn't sunk in yet. 13 watching, 13 thumbs up. Look at that. Look, you can watch things on here for entertainment and watch people make total buffoons out of themselves. I guess there's an entertainment value to that. If anything, it teaches you about the nature of humans, the nature of the beast, as I'll call it, the nature of the beast. And yes, it could be fun to watch. And maybe that's why I even watch some of these shows. I'm watching all the mistakes these people are making, what they shouldn't be doing in another country at all, and how they feel so fearless that nobody could touch them. No matter what they said or did to somebody, that nobody could touch them. It's never going to happen. Well, I'll give you examples if you want, but you already know things that could happen can happen and have happened. Prove me wrong on that one. We got a guy right now who's so fucking pissed at me for the things he did to me. He's doing his third fucking year imprisoned in detention in the Philippines. Because the motherfucker for how many fucking years would get on his show thinking that he was bulletproof. Some of the things that he said, which allowed him to be in a position that he's in. He thought he could get away with just about anything, but it didn't work for him very well, did it? Now he's suffering in a detention. He's been detained for almost 3 years. He's going to be spending his third Christmas incarcerated. Do you think the guy's learned anything from this? How about if I told you, I say no, that he hasn't? That's a good reason to still be in there, because he hasn't learned. The guy who exhibited such stupidity to repeatedly come on his YouTube channel and call yours truly a child predator. A child predator. People die for that. People die for that. He's alive only by my grace. People die for less than that. Marring somebody's character by coming on their show for years and saying that this guy's a child predator. He's a child molester. And then people go so far as to edit videos, sound, vision, voice, you name it, to the degree they go. These are the sick people on here, which says a lot about themselves. What they're calling somebody may indeed be the things that they actually do. Remember, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I've been called every goddamn name in the fucking book on here. I'm not falling apart for people having opinions about me or anybody else. I'm just listening to it and I'm laughing. Is my lifestyle really what they say it is? Am I in a terrible relationship? Is my girlfriend only with me for money? Am I crying over the fact that we bought a house that I know is really her house? Well, it was intended. Do you ever think about that? Am I crying about that? Did I get thrown out of this house by a greedy Filipina? No, I did it for her future. Why? Because I have somebody that's worthwhile. And you can't take it with you. For all the care and love that they've shown you, you're giving back. But not many people want to see it. Oh, he's just a simp. Well, there are simps out there, that's for damn sure. I've heard all the stories, more than I care to hear. There are simps out there that will buy their wife or girlfriend a house. They only known them for maybe 6 months or something. They're basically buying their love, but it's not love. What's love got to do with it? Got to do with it? Nothing. Sestiles. Anybody heard from Sestiles? Should we care? Should we care? Should we really care? Oh, okay, come on, be fair about it. Out of curiosity, sure. No, what's going on with Sestile is that he's going on with his life. That's what's going on with him. The good or bad that he does in life. Even Chris and Sabu used to be a favorite on here. We don't know what happened to Chris and Sabu. We're thinking it's nothing good because nothing stopped that guy from getting on. Something bad could have happened. A relationship could have broke up. He could have went back to America. She said, fuck the YouTube shit, walk around the streets of Fuente, which I enjoyed watching, actually. And so did a lot of other people. Should it matter to us? Simply, if not out of curiosity, of course. We have the curiosity of knowing, hey, whatever happened to this guy? What really happened to Roberto? Did he finally croak? Did his Alzheimer's get to him? I mean, people get curious. Even I get curious. Sure, we get rumors spread on here all the time. Oh, that John Blaze died in a motorcycle accident. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. But people are very gullible and they'll believe anything they say on here. But it was real when they died. And when we found out for real that they died, yeah, I do believe Ed Lippett died. Of course he did, yeah. Fazio, we all know died for sure. And Johnny Warrior, and the list goes on. We know there's a fact, but it's easy to come on here and make a statement that John Blaze got in a motorcycle accident and died. Are you that gullible? Where's a death certificate? Where's an obituary or something like that? Where is it? You can't believe everything you hear. That's the point. You can't believe everything you hear. So getting back to the meat and bones of what I started to talk about on here, I've been listening to this guy who has cancer, and I hate to even listen to it really, but it draws you in because his feed is always going to show up unless you end the feed or something. I may even do that, but it's like getting caught up in a soap opera, like Popeye does with General Hospital. You got to be there to watch every session to know what's going to go on with Monica and all these characters on there. I remember General Hospital. My mother anyway, used to watch it. And as a kid, I was forced to watch it. No cartoons because, well, not when she had her General Hospital on. Oh, no, 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 no. Popeye's still watching it. I mean, the point is you got to have something to live for. And if he lives for General Hospital, then so be it. You know what I mean? If that's the only thing he's got going on with his life. But that's my point. Go with what makes you happy. Even, but I guess if it makes you happy being so hateful and like Popeye and other trolls are, then that's their thing. But it's not yours. It doesn't have to be yours. Life is so fucking short. There's people who wake up, they're fantastic the day before, but they get up to a new day. Reminds me of a Basha song. I'll talk about Basha sometime. It's called A New Day for You. It's going to be a new day for you. A new day for you. She's a Polish pop, jazz, rock, whatever singer who's like 71 now. She's my age. She changed quite a bit. But an old girlfriend of mine, the doctor's daughter, I never got into new age music or that jazzy, poppy stuff. And Frank, you got to listen to this. She played Enya. I like Enya. That's the ethereal stuff. That's the, Caribbean Blue. It's a great song. My gosh, everything she does. I never would listen to that if Suzanne didn't introduce me to it. And it made me think about her. And Basha has a show, and I wrote her saying, like, you know what? Every time I hear your music, it reminds me of this girl I used to date. And she actually wrote me back, on her YouTube thing. That was cool because I was into rock and all that stuff, and 70s, 80s rock, whatever. And I didn't listen to this new age shit. So I thought until Suzanne actually took out her records. They had records. Anyway, and she had me listen to Basha. I said, whoa. Not only should she do that, there was another kind of a new age, I can't remember her name. It's killing me that I can't remember her name. She was really significant. She actually bought tickets, right? Over in Seattle. It was a birthday gift for me. Would you come to me? Come with me, and I know you don't want to, but just come with me on this and you'll enjoy yourself. I was thinking, oh God. Okay, Suzanne. I went there thinking I was going to hate it. But it turned out exactly the opposite In other words, introduce yourself to new stuff, new thoughts, new music, new whatever, and explore it, and you may like it. New thoughts. I walked out of there and Suzanne was shocked, cheering Basha. It wasn't Basha. I'm trying to remember who she was. I even asked Basha herself on her YouTube channel. I tried to explain to her who this person was, and I can't remember the name of the music. She might know who she was, and please, it's on my mind and thoughts. So yeah, I think about, it doesn't matter I'm in a relationship now, I think about sometimes how some old girlfriends are doing and all that. Are they alive even? Are they happy? Do they have children? They have a family? Did they find a wonderful man? Whatever. I do think about that. I can still care about old girlfriends and shit, that they're happy and whatnot, and wish that they are. But it was this music I was introduced to. It was also Enya and Basha. I would never listen to that shit. I didn't know who they were until she introduced it to me. Now, it's like a time machine. If I hear something from Basha, she has a lot of good songs. It's a New Day for You and so many other songs on there. It takes me back into that time machine. Let's see here. Anyway, you can go back in time in your thoughts and emotions, but unfortunately, you can't really go through that time machine and bring yourself back there, if not just emotionally. There's a lot of things that affected my life. Music. As music affects everybody's life in some form or way. As I said, music brings me back to a certain relationship I had. I could be in a supermarket, certainly in America, and one of these songs will come up, and like, bam, it hits me like bricks on the head. It reminds me of somebody that I've spent a lot of valuable time with. Intimacy, emotion. You can't stop remembering that stuff. Because if somebody was that important to you in your time, it's ingrained in your memory. And that's a fact. It's ingrained in your memory. Despite having bad memories of people or something, you do have some good memories of people you've been with. Even if you've broken up in relationships with people, I'm sure during those relationships you've had some good emotion and thoughts and feelings. The relationship is over, right? And you shouldn't really care. You have to go on with your life, but it doesn't mean that you can't reminisce about some of the good times that you've had with some past relationships. I'm sure there had to be some good in there because you wouldn't be with the person, right? There had to be some good that made it last at whatever time it lasted. Stop concentrating on the bad. Anyway, that's pretty much what's going on here. I think people need to rethink what they do and just regard what's more important in your life. Something that should be significant in your life, not all this nonsense that goes on here. I shrug it off all the time. Talk about thick skin. Boy, did I develop elephant skin, let me tell you that. You put a show about me, you could devote actual YouTube shows about me and record me and everything I do, and to me that's an honor. It's an honor. It means that somebody's thinking about me. Wow. Even negative attention, my friends, are still attention. Think about that. And that's the way you gotta think. If somebody spends that much time and emotion on somebody, they must be very significant to that person's life. Think about that. Which means I am very significant on here for whatever reason. That's the way it is. Another mission today? Huh? Barangay? Barangay. Oh. Oh, okay. So think what you must, but I sit here totally entertained by what I hear. And I could be entertained by Asia, and Slim and all these people. It is entertainment. But I say to myself, I'm so happy I'm not them. They're not my heroes, although I'm yours, apparently. But I'm not, they're not my heroes. I just watch or listen and I say, thank goodness, however I was created on this earth, or whatever my purpose is, that I am not them. Thank goodness for small miracles, if there's such thing as miracles. Thank goodness I am not them. But also, thank goodness that I'm not one of these poor people that has a life-threatening disease. And a lot of us don't know. We may just have. Unless you want to get a complete CAT scan and MRI, and you really want to dig deep. You don't know. And a lot of people are living with a ticking time bomb, but they don't even know. Why don't they know? Because sometimes it doesn't make itself appear. Sometimes it's too late. It just hits you. You just get hit like a fucking brick on the head. And you never knew you had a problem. But then again, you never maintained your body anyway. You never went for checkups. You never went for blood tests. You never went for... Who wants Morangai now?
Huh?
Who do you have to give it to?
What?
Morangai?
No, we go there in barangay. All manga.
Manga for what?
Something from the DSWD.
Okay. Man. Like, doing something good. Like, my girlfriend has to go do something with the barangay here, with some people who live in the barangay. Something, very positive. And it's a great thing. It's doing something good, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for the community. That's what it's all about. But listening to this guy, Patrick Haynes, who does pretty much daily posts, give an update of his situation, which is a terrible situation. He's not one of these big YouTubers. He come on there basically to bring awareness of his disease. And of course to solicit, which they all do, for funds. Which, if something like that happened to me, I wouldn't ask a fucking dime off a lot of you motherfuckers. Because I wouldn't get it anyway. I wouldn't bring myself in that position to do that. I'd rather just fucking die than to get down to that level. If I had fucking cancer or some shit like that, it was going to do a GoFundMe. I wouldn't even go near that. I wouldn't touch it with your dick, you know what I mean? People just cheer me on and say, die, motherfucker, die. Well, I've said that before. But maybe I meant it with some people. I'll come out with it. Maybe I fucking meant it. Because I felt that this person or people was so fucking vile. So worthless to themselves, to society, to anyone. That all they did was cause harm. Just like a cockroach. You see one, there's a lot more there. You better kill it, it's going to multiply. Well, it is multiplying. Look at society. The hate is multiplying. The violence in our society is multiplying, is it not? Bring a little more self-awareness to yourself. I mean, really see what's going on in the world. You see how insignificant somebody's thoughts or comments about you on YouTube is. It's insignificant. And if these trolls had cancer, metastatic, you think they're going to be on? Well, maybe some would. Maybe some would, because there's also mental illness involved. But on a basic level, do you really think these people are going to give a fuck what anybody says about them? Do you think of these people with cancer or something are going to really give a fuck about what somebody thinks about you? No, because they're fighting for their lives. What you say is so absolutely insignificant of what you think about somebody else on YouTube. It is absolutely insignificant. They're not putting food on your table, so fuck them. They're not adding any positiveness to your life, so fuck them. Really. They're nobody. They're just voices and whatever on, I call it the airwaves of YouTube. The airwaves of YouTube. That's all they are. Should anybody fucking care whether Barry Jordan is rotten in prison after everything he did? Why should you fucking care? Now, situations like that, I would say, well, you're not going to wish an evil bastard like that well. You're just not. Why would you want to proliferate the things that he does or has done to people? But that goes the same with other people, too. Sometimes you got to get rid of the toxins in society, or remove the toxins from your food, or your environment, or your family, or whatever that you deem to be negative in your life. You need to get rid of, if you can, if you possibly can. Whether that's drinking, whether it's smoking, whether it's street drugs, whether it's being a abusive foreigner who likes to impregnate innocent Filipinas and run away from their responsibility, whatever it might be. We've got that all out here. It's out here. We see it. We hear it. So if you think my feelings are being hurt by people talking ill of me, nobody knows myself better than me or my partner. That's who knows who I am, what I am, how I am. And that's all that matters in the scheme of life. It don't matter what somebody thinks about me on YouTube. And it shouldn't matter to you. Yeah, I know, we see people doing some really ridiculous shit on here in their relationships. And some people don't see the light of day. And they get these women and shit, and they, oh yeah, I'm a real man. No, because you're paying for them to be with them. Or you have an extraordinarily big wallet. And no, they're in love with me. Oh, I'm sure about it. But when that wallet gets empty, are they still going to be with you? That's the question. Are they still going to be with you when that wallet is completely empty? When you drain their wallet, although you're benefiting or you benefited, and now your source of the luxury lifestyle has gone because the money is gone from this guy's wallet. Then that guy becomes insignificant. Come on, you can get the most beastly looking people on here. The worst fucking characters you could ever meet in looks, in personality, demeanor. And they could have a wallet that could carry them a long way. But when that money runs out, where are these women around them now? They're gone. They be gone, bro. They do be tripping. They be gone. Without that carrot, man. Without that carrot dangling in front of these women, they be gone. They become uninterested in that carrot. Unless it's still lined with gold. I think I made myself abundantly clear on this show this morning. And I tell you what, I got things I needs to do. But I took my time to talk to you. That rhymes. How kind of a person I am to keep you folks in my mind and say, hey, I'm going to come on here. I'm going to teach you something that I don't have to. That I don't have to spend my valuable time trying to enlighten my audience on what's really going on around them on YouTube or in their own personal lives. What they're doing wrong, which is going to bite them in the ass later on, and it always does. It always does. Been on here for a decade. I've seen people come and I've seen people go. And the people that came and go were the ones that were trying to be significant with all their ill-gotten ways and their verbalization and all the cruel things they've done to other people It's all going to come back in your faces, folks. I can name names on here, but you know who they are. They met their faith, some of them. They've met it. And some of them are about to meet. Me, I could handle just about everything. Something could be dished out to me and I'll handle it. I always do. Even in the worst scenario, if I got thrown out of the fucking Philippines for a while because of somebody's complaint, invalid, nevertheless, put that to the side, valid or not, life goes on. I shall thrive. I shall live. And although it'll represent an inconvenience to me if such a thing were to happen to me, which I doubt, life goes on. I continue to continue. You make lemonade out of those lovely lemons. That's how you should treat life. You make the best out of what you got. That's how you survive. Because you have to. You don't have a choice unless you want to take your own life. You're going to fight every fucking thing that you can to thrive. Like that guy with cancer I was telling you about, Patrick Haynes. He's fighting for his fucking life. He's got a girlfriend and an upcoming child, I believe. He don't want to die. He's got something to live for, where a lot of people in here have absolutely nothing to live for, except to spew their hate. But they turn around and says, no. Frank is the hater on here. Oh, I'm a hater because I bring things up to a higher level, where I basically, again, with that proverbial mirror in front of the trolls' faces and let them see how ugly they really are. Is that being hateful? I don't think so. I say if the shoe fits, wear it, my friends. If it don't fit, try another size. There, because he hasn't learned. The guy who exhibited such stupidity to repeatedly come on his YouTube channel and call yours truly a child predator. A child predator. People die for that. People die for that. He's alive only by my grace. People die for less than that. Marring somebody's character by coming on their show for years and saying that this guy's a child predator. He's a child molester. And then people go so far as to edit videos, sound, vision, voice, you name it, to the degree they go. These are the sick people on here, which says a lot about themselves.
Donald Trump just had a psychotic meltdown during a national address. What the purpose of this national address was, other than to demonstrate Donald Trump's cognitive impairments, is unclear, but this was an unmitigated disaster, folks. You even have Governor Pritzker responding to a Midas Touch post where we said, this is some weird shit right here. And Governor Pritzker saying, yeah, I second that right here. You have California Governor Gavin Newsom also saying that there is something wrong with this guy right now. If you look at what is
Well, kind of an interesting story. No, it's not clickbait. It's not clickbait. But we'll get into this. And why, even with a small amount of money, you have to be careful. And we'll talk about this. A few more people show up here. I was inclined to do this show because I was watching something on the guy won the lottery in 1999. The guy won like a tremendous amount of money, like 28 million. But, let me kind of ease into this. How that worked out. It wasn't a tremendous amount of money, but, all right. let me kind of whiz into this. I'll wait till a few people show up here, actually. Okay, well, maybe I should begin. Oh, you like my storytelling here, but this is a factual story. But um, way back when I was living in back in Seattle, and at the time I was renting this condo. It was off Highway 99, and we know it as Aurora Avenue in North Seattle, Shoreline District, and this condo had it was an old complex. I was at the bottom floor, ground floor. I was able to have my dog, and there's a little lake there. I'm right on the lake. You walk out my sliding door. Well, two doors. You could go out into the hallway and whatever, and then take an elevator up to the next floor, which will be the lobby. Or where I was right there. I could open up my door, my sliding door, and I could walk right there's a lake, and 10 feet, I don't know, it was 20 feet from my door. There was this little public lake, not a big lake. In fact, right across the lake was some member of, what was it, Alice in Chains, lived in a house right across this little, I don't know if it was a man-made lake, whatever it was. It was a place that I was going to buy, but there's a story behind this. Okay. I went to a 7-Eleven, and I played the lottery, and I've always lost. Most I'd ever win. Tiny bits of money, a few bucks here and there, 20 bucks. I was lucky to even get that. So one day, I went to check my tickets. I had bought 3 of them, and the numbers matched. I'm thinking, wait, what did I win? What did I win? I got the numbers. Did I win big money? What did I win? Well, it was substantial at the time, back in the 90s. It was substantial at the time. It was $28,000. But by the time the smoke cleared or something, I think I wound up with about 17 out of that, which was, for me, and I was working at the time. I was working at Parks, and I came up with this story. I might have even said a story one time, but I wasn't telling the truth on that. I didn't want to, and I knew people that were kind of hard up for money, and from experience, I'll give you an example. There used to be a little dance club I used to go to, and I remember I found $100 on the floor, and I told my friend Ted, no, I found $100. And right away he expected for me to go support his tequila habit. I said, no, man, I got bills to pay. And it's true, I did have bills to pay, but because I had money that night, which was found money, I found crisp $100 bill on the floor. Okay, I didn't tell anybody about it. Fuck, I needed the money, and it's like the way it worked in that time was that Ted, for example, and the others are expecting I'm going to buy all their hard liquor for them when I had a child to support. Anyway, getting back to the lottery thing, this just relates in how people respond. So, and I didn't even tell my own daughter, actually. So what happened is, discovered I won, and I think the total was something like 28. It's been a while back, about 28 comes to my head. And I wound up with, just taxes, all that shit you got to pay. I don't know. All I know is I wound up with about 17 and change. That's what I wound up with. Okay, so I was all happy, ecstatic about it, because that was a lot of money to me at once in my hand. I never had, $17,000 in my hand at any one time at that point. And anyway, I called my daughter up. I said, come over. Now, remember, this is after, let's see now. Remember, I had thrown her out of the house, okay, pretty much. This was afterwards. She was living with a boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. And I was living in this condo, was renting. And I was actually going to buy the condo later on. When I got that money, it was a great down payment. But then the landlord, some old lady who lived in a very rich area, Richmond Beach area, about 6 miles from me, um, you know, this deal was going to go through. I figured, okay, it's a good location in a highway, I got a parking space. I'm on this cute little lake, although artificial it might be, but, whatever. Old building, a very small one-bedroom apartment, but it was sufficient for me and allowed to keep my dog there, though. Only thing bad was having to keep the dog in all day while I was working. It's just a bad thing. I got home, immediately took her out, and it wasn't a situation that was good because I was living alone, and it was good that I was able to have a dog there, but it just bothered me every day that, I didn't have a dog sitter or nothing like that she had to be in there all day. But anyway, getting that out of the way. Okay, so I called my daughter. I said, come over. No, no, it's really important. Oh, I got something. All right. She's wondering, what the hell's going on? I got something. So basically, I told her I had all this, I only had a certain amount of money laid out on the bed. Okay, she didn't see the rest of it. It was in the bank. But I had this, I don't know, a few $1,000s laid out on the bed. Hey, check this out, check this out. Where'd you get all that from? I said, well, I was on my job, and I was on this particular beach area in this park, and, we had to pressure wash the shitters out, the comfort stations and all that, and put toilet paper in. Early in the morning, we had to open up the gate to get in the park. We were the gatekeepers in the morning to open it up and to go in there. And the story that I told was that I went into the women's room, and there was a shopping bag in there, which had a pack of cigarettes, some kind of woman's clothing, and then there was a metal box in there. And I told her this story. I'll tell you why I told her this story. But that I opened it up and seen there's all these stacks of money in there. Okay, and I basically told her that I got about $3,000, which is actually what I presented on the bed, $3,000. Where'd you get that? How did you get that? Like I did something illegal or something. Where did you get that money, Dad? That's the story I told her, but I didn't want to tell her I won a lottery, even though it wasn't for a lot of money. It was chicken shit, but it wasn't chicken shit at the time, though. No, not at all. 1999. I mean, even 17,000. It was pretty good money, some chump money, But I didn't tell her the truth because I wasn't really happy still with the fact that how she disobeyed me in the past, and when I had told her to leave the house, and it was her basic attitude. So I did want to help her out, though. So I said, "Come over here, and you won't regret it, whatever." So I threw her. I don't know how many hundreds. I said, "Go buy some clothes and whatever, and go do what you need to do. Here's something for you because of my little stroke of luck, okay, for finding said amount of money, And I told her, she said, well, where do you think it came from in the bank? I said, well, I don't know, probably drug money or something. Well, why would they leave it in the bathroom there? I said, that's a good question. That's a very good question. Anyway, that was the story that I gave out. And because basically, if you run your mouth, people are expecting something from you, even in a small amount of money like that. They're figuring, well, and like I was listening to this guy's story no more than an hour ago, an hour and a half ago. Well, back in 99, he won like 28 million, somewhere around there, $30 million lottery. And of course, everybody, had expectations from him and all that, and that whenever you went out for dinner, they figured you had the money, so, you're going to pay for the dinner. I mean, you're the one that got some money together, right? Oh, 20 years old? She was 20, I think. I don't know, around 20. I don't know. I don't know exactly, 19, 20. You know, people have these expectations where they, well, you got all this money, why should we pay for the dinner, you know? And that's that attitude. And this was this guy who won this big, big lottery for millions and what he went through, you know. They were talking big money, you know. It's life-changing money. Well, you know, 17,000 wasn't life-changing for me, but it still was unexpected and very welcome, and it was a good timing because I was basically going to be buying the condo that I lived in. And everything was going through. I was at the escrow office, the whole bit, ready to seal the deal on the condo. And then the landlord, the lady I was renting the condo, she called up right when I was there. Well, they probably had to call and let them know we have a sale going here. She had it up for sale. But I think what happened was she really said, no, I don't want to sell it to him. I don't want to sell it to him. Changed her mind. She changed her mind. She changed her mind because we call them, well, in New York we call them superintendents. They were basically managers of the building, you know, this chain smoking choo-choo train, we used to call it, to wear the, you know, kind of an engineer's hat. She'd have a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. The only way you could find her is from her smoke trail, you know. A very, you know, road hard looking lady and her husband, always arguing, you know. You hear them all over the place. You walk into their apartment in the air, it's blue. The smoke is blue from cigarette smoke, and they had a parrot in there. I don't know, probably died later of some emphysema or something. I don't know. They smoked a lot. Anyway, that's a background history on them. Okay, I got to make it a good story. Okay, so you like my storytelling, so let me finish the story. If I flowered up a little bit, then, well, that's just me. All right, so I didn't want to tell anybody. It wasn't a lot of money, but, you know, I knew people that would have certain expectations for me, even on that little bit of money. You know, I knew that if I went out on my normal, it wasn't always on every weekend, but, you know, whenever I could, and I had a group of people who used to go out to these clubs that played music, live music and stuff, you know, that if I told them that I had all this money, they were going to be expecting for me to buy all the drinks all fucking night long. Oh, you know, I just didn't want to do that. You know, I was trying to be responsible with my money, and then my deal, you know, gets busted on the fucking condo. And that's when I started thinking about the Hawaii thing, getting the fuck out of there, you know, to get out of Seattle and, you know, go to Hawaii. And that's when I really started thinking about that, you know. I busted the deal on the condo, which is probably a good idea because it was an older building, and I don't know, people were haphazard with their habits there. And, you know, if that place caught on fire, I don't know if, you know, if I would have had insurance or not. I don't know if, you know, where I would have been at that time if I actually bought it, but whether I'd come out of there, you know, really good or whatever. But I would still have a mortgage, though. You see, the thing is, but no, I didn't buy the condo, and I was going to, because I needed to settle down somewhere. It was a good location. I mean, the grounds were kind of interesting. They had an artificial little waterfalls there, and they had not only the lake that was there, but they had this little pond, and they had koi in it. You could watch them swimming around. It was very relaxing. And we had a little dock that if you really wanted to go swimming in that sewer water, which I thought it was, because a lot of the water, there was runoff from the street, which was Highway 99, right close by. You know, my dog went off there once to swim, and she wound up hurting herself, actually, when she tried to climb up onto the dock. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I mean, some details we could leave out, but I never told my daughter that because she was lucky to get anything from me at all, you know, really, because the way I was feeling at the time, you know, a lot of things were on my mind. When my birthday, and I took her to Hawaii, and she left me there basically because she missed her boyfriend, and I spent all that money. Well, I did wind up going to Hawaii when I won that little bit of money. I absolutely did. Actually, in fact, that was Yeah, I took her on a trip to Hawaii sometime after I won this, okay? And I take her, pay her way all the way to Hawaii. And she's been there before. And she got probably tired of going to Kona because I always went to the Kona side of the island, which was the west side, Kailua Kona area on the Big Island. And anyway, you know, it was around May 31st, my birthday. I wanted to go to a trip to Hawaii for my birthday, so that's why I went there. And I just like getting away to the island, you know. And I should have picked a different place, like Maui or something. And I really should have. She might have enjoyed it better. But it was kind of boring to her. But it was something to brag about to whatever friends she had, you know, Melissa and whoever. You know, I'm going to Hawaii. She probably would brag about it, like she went to Hollywood with me too, you know. And she went to Canada with me. She went to New York to me when she was she was a baby. But I didn't want to tell her because I was still pretty pissed off. Because on my birthday, you know, she was my companion for the trip. I could have took some chick, any woman would have just ran with me to Hawaii. You know, hey, you want to make a trip to Hawaii? You know, tell me a chick that's going to say no to that, right? But she took it for granted. And of course, she was in the early stages of dating this guy that she wound up marrying and having 4 children with. And thanks for the smiley face, whatever it is. So I was there, and it's a matter of a few days or so in, I don't know, it wasn't too long, she was missing her boyfriend. I said, it's not like you're staying here forever, you know? Maybe they went to the intimacy stages and she missed it, or I don't know. I really didn't want to know. But she missed him. So right practically on my birthday, which I had to pay some extra money, no big deal, but I paid it to get her ticket to be an earlier flight home. All right? She had to go see her boyfriend. She couldn't enjoy a free vacation on her dad. I'm such a terrible dad, you know. A lot of things have been said about me. What a horrible father you are. Really, how did you know that? How would you know that? So anyway, on my birthday, she winds up going. And I wasn't real keen on the idea, let's put it that way. I was a little pissed off. My birthday at that time? Come on, the timing on that? I remember going out for dinner, sitting alone at this place with tiki torches lit, and having some kind of a mild dinner or something on there. So I just spent time going to the beaches and snorkeling, and I went to see Bob, my friend, who lived right there, you know. And I'd hang out at him at Kahului Beach. Oh, this is a nice setting right here. There we go. You leave the stars on. Yeah, there we go. Isn't that nice? Starry, starry nights. Do 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 do. Starry, starry nights. Well, that, you know, really pissed me off. That was the way she was. She was selfish in that way. She didn't think about it as my birthday. Talking about my daughter. Didn't think about my birthday. That this was a trip for her and me, bonding with father and daughter. As I said, I could easily, any woman, a free trip to Hawaii, shit, they'd leave work and call in sick for a week if they had to get a free trip to Hawaii. You know what I mean? A free trip to Hawaii? Funny thing is I wound up living there later on, right? Yeah, that's how it worked. But she left me there, my birthday, and I wasn't too happy about it. And that was her attitude. And people wondering, well, you know, you say all this shit about Frank and his daughter, you know, didn't get along and this thing, you know, because I decided to talk about it, which is something I probably never should have done, but she was a teenager. She was 19, 20 years old. She was old enough, you know. Well, I know, it was her first boyfriend. That's Sausage Man there. That's what it's all about. It's her first boyfriend, you know. And, you know, you had that feeling when you had your first, somebody that you were sweet on, the first one in your life. It was pretty heavy duty. I mean, I understood it to a point. But not for my birthday, you know. Stay for my birthday at least, you know, and, you know, spend a few more days with me. And, you know, we went out to eat, all that stuff. But I guess she was also bored with Kona Because I really liked the Kona side of the island at the time. There's more to do there, that's why. I mean, hell, I even took her in a freaking submarine ride, for God's sakes. I'm not kidding. I took her, there was a submarine ride. We go like 150 feet, 125 to 150 feet. I couldn't dive because of my ear. So there was like this tourist thing, you know. It was a real submarine. Not a big thing, but it was a real submarine. And I didn't know she was kind of claustrophobic too. We went on there. She was feeling a little anxiety because she suffered a little bit of anxiety herself. But it was fun. And we dive under there, and one of the crew would go out there with not a rebreather, but a, what do you call that? Floating snorkel system where you got your air supplies floating on the surface. You got a hose, I forgot what you call that. And they would go down there and they'd pick up a starfish, bring it to the window, bring something there. There was these things, a big old grouper fish kind of passed by the window. And I would like have my eyes pressed against the window in there and making believe that I was under that ocean, how magical it would be, you know, because I've never been able to scuba dive because I have a bad ear, you know. A friend of mine had his leg cut off by one of those submarines. I don't know how that happened, but my submarine hit the propeller. Oh no, but it was fun, you know, it was fun. And I got a good deal on it too because somebody gave me a certificate, one of the outlets out there that sell these tourist trips and stuff. I don't know, I got some good deal on it. So I took her, you know, magical moment for me because I love the ocean. And I've never been under the water like that, not 125 feet under the surface of the ocean. And I, you know, regrettably could not scuba dive. I could only snorkel, which I did a lot of, but I would have loved to have scuba dived. My ear wouldn't allow me, you know. Yeah. So it was fun, but I was really pissed off. And that's why, if you ever come into money, you don't tell people about it. A lot of people have expectations, because if you listen to my show in the beginning, you understand what led to this, talking about my daughter or whatever. But it was my generosity which wasn't appreciated. And simple things like I told you, I found $100 bill in this dance club. And one time, and I was hurting for money at the time. Help pay a bill, $100 can help pay a bill. But I opened my mouth and I said to Ted and the others, you know, I said, well, you know, wow, I found fucking A, man, I found $100 bill. All right, man, Frank's gonna buy the drinks. I didn't. Nope, I didn't give in. I told Ted, I said, hey man, I got some bills to pay. I'm raising a daughter on my own. I can't do it. Oh, come on, man, you know, it's free money. Yeah, well, you know, that money can help pay a bill. Sources says he was one of those divers to pick up the starfish in different sea creatures. Show the tourist and feed them, and he got sucked up into the propeller and he got his leg. Oh man, that's horrible. Did you ever tell your daughter the truth about it? Nope, never did. Nope. Well, she also lost out on 50,000 American bucks too. Yeah, when I sold my house in Hawaii, I made a tidy profit on there, you know. And there was $50,000 earmarked for her. But then we were having all these problems on the phone. You know, she'd ask me for advice. She wouldn't take it. Then she'd get mad at me for something. And, you know, our relationship is like null and void these days. You know, we're basically estranged. It's not personal information I haven't given out before. This is already known because I've talked about it on my show. You know, telling me what a horrible parent I am. Horrible parent that takes his daughter to Hawaii for like 4 times. Takes her to Hollywood, and I could have took a chick with me to the Billboard Music Awards. I took my daughter. Come on, man. Take her to Vancouver, Canada. No, excuse me. Not Vancouver, Victoria. You know? Shit, take her to Universal Studios in Hollywood. I mean, fucking A. She was never appreciative of the things I did for her, you know? But the show really isn't about her, but I'm making a point about how I'm very generous when people are decent to me, you know. Well, I don't know what she's thinking because we don't talk. I don't know what she's thinking because we don't talk. But I had $50,000 earmarked for her or her kids' education. Now, on one hand, you could probably say, well, fuck Frank. You're having a problem with her. Why don't you just, hell of it, hold on to that money for the kids' education? Well, that'd be a great idea. And it was. But she wasn't even allowing me to even have anything to do with my grandkid. They didn't put her in my life. I said, fuck that shit. If my grandkids are not in my life, then how do I know if that money would even go into the hands of my grandkids just to begin with, right? Well, she lost out on 50 grand, and it's not easy for her to come into 50 grand. That could have been a down payment on a home for her, at the time. Certainly could have. So she lost out big time with her attitude. And when somebody doesn't show me respect, I don't care who you are. You could be a YouTuber, you could be a blood family member, I don't care who you are. I just don't give the respect back. I've always been that way. Somebody shows me respect, even a troll who comes to my channel, and there's some that have come on here, and I knew who they were. And they were, not yanking my chain or any shit like that. I'd let them talk. But then the minute they talked about me on the sly on another person's channel, I would eliminate them from my show. That's what I did. I'd have to put a noose around the head or put them in jail for 3 years. I just eradicated them from my show, But she missed out on 50 grand. 50 G's, baby. 50 G's. She don't know that. She don't know that either. If she's listening to my show, she'll know it. But I don't think she's listening at this time. Well, maybe if she's up, I don't know. But she would have been $50,000 richer. And at that time, it's not terribly long ago, even 50,000 is a lot of money. I mean, it is. How long does it take you working your basic job, and how long would it take anybody to save up 50 fucking grand? The average American just can't do that. I was never able to just do that based off of for example, from my salary, how much I'm able to put away. When your taxes and insurance on a house is so fucking big, how do you do that? You don't. You can't. They say the average American, the 99 percenters, they're lucky if they got $1,000 in their bank account. Now with Trump in office, they're lucky if they have $200 in their bank account anymore. He's making it hard for people to live. So, yeah, I gave that story because I got a good memory. I told her, no, yeah. She said, well, what do you rob somebody? Where'd you get all that money, Dad? I gave her some story. Oh, I found it, in the bathroom while I was working, out in the park. Could have been drug money, could have been, who knows? It's the only lame story I could think about, But if I said that I had, won a lottery of 28,000, I told you, wound up about 17 or so, I don't know, the taxes, skimming the top and all that, it's a long, long time ago. She probably would have had more expectations. Oh, me and Michael, we were going to go rent another place or something, or we need more money for furniture. Dad, come on, can you help? I was always there to help her. Usually if I had the money for something, whatever her needs were, and the story is not all about my kid, but it's an integral part of the story, and that's the only reason I'm mentioning it, is that if I felt that she deserved it, if she had shown her other respect for me, but even as a little child, she didn't get her way. She'd be punching my chest. She didn't get her way, and I took her, I don't know, what did she have? Some electronic device or something that she played with. I don't know, whatever, I don't remember. She wanted it back. She didn't care. She'd be punching me in the chest with a lot of aggression. And this is true. Because she had a lot of aggression. Oh, they say Frank was probably a bad dad. Let me tell you something. When she was married, with this guy and married, she'd get mad at him. She would, and she shared the story. They were living in this apartment complex. He owned a motorcycle and they had like a van. Anyway, there was some shit going on with her having to do with him and his cousin. I think he was fucking around with his cousin. He gave her, believe it or not, a lug nut from a car or something, because he did mechanic work too. And she'd always say, "Why are you wearing that stupid ring? It was a nut. It was a nut, a lug nut." I'm not shitting. Can't make this shit up. Oh, it's my cousin, which is a woman. He had a thing for his own fucking cousin, man. Anyway, they were having arguments over something. So she takes the van, she's coming in, and she smashes it against his motorcycle, did a little bit of damage to it. Another time he got so pissed at her and her, her needs and her demeanor was not right. And he'd get so frustrated. Well, he felt like punching her, but he couldn't do that. He knew that. So he punched the wall, plaster wall, and he had to repair that out of frustration. Just total frustration. So you got to understand, did you give? Yeah, I did. No, I gave her like, I don't know, about $500. I said, go shopping. You need some clothes, whatever. I said, go shopping. That's why I invited her over at the time. I was living at the condo I was going to buy. And I said, I laid some money in the bed. I said, come here. What? What's all that? It's money. Where'd you get that? Dad, where'd you get that? You steal it or something? I said, steal it? Why would you think, would I steal some money? And I gave her some phony baloney story, okay? Because I just figured, my memory was pretty good about my birthday, how she just fucking abandoned me on my birthday in Hawaii. I was nice enough and generous enough and loving enough to take her on probably her 4th or 5th trip to Hawaii. How many kids even get to go to Hawaii once? And I wasn't living there at the time. I was just vacationing back and forth to Hawaii until I bought the land and then decided to build a house. Okay? She did visit me once, though. She did come to Hawaii once to visit me, which, of course, I paid for, of course. So I am generous. I am totally generous. I've always been very generous when people show some respect for me. Okay, so, but when they don't show respect like she didn't, I mean, she had 50 grand coming her way. 50 G's. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. Even today, 50 grand is a lot of money. US dollars, not pesos. That's a lot of money. Earmarked for her pocket to do whatever the fuck she wanted with it, or help the kids out with any of their psychological problems they had, and a couple of them had some serious problems. Gee, I wonder why, but they did, as a fact, they did. Help them out with counseling, help them out with education for their future. But I couldn't give in to that, because I didn't know where that money was going to go. For her and Michael to go on vacation, or do whatever, or go buy a fucking van or something. No, I was not going to be that generous. Not for that. Not for that. If it was going to go toward putting money down on a house, sure, no problem with that. But I couldn't do it, man. That money's long gone, long spent, that money. Because of her attitude. We'd talk on the phone when I lived in Hawaii, always asking me advice, and I give her advice, and if it wasn't something she wanted to hear, it's like my way or the highway, and she didn't have it her way, she'd get pissed off at me. You don't understand. I said, I do understand what you're telling me. But I've given you this advice before. I said, leave the bum. She was dating this guy, looked like a Scooby-Doo character with the beard, the beatnik-looking guy. In fact, I used to give him a nickname. I never met him, but I saw a picture later on, but she used to describe him as that, and I always called him, because I never remember his name, so I called him, how's Scooby-Doo doing, How's Scooby-Doo doing, Some people are not insensitized by money. Well, I don't know. You could be generous, but you got to be careful who you're generous with. Because, see, I have a good memory for certain things when people have fucked me over. And I mean, whether it's YouTube, personal life, whatever it might be, my memory is sharp as a pin on that. I don't forget a thing. I don't forget a word. It's all in my head. It don't need to be on paper. Though a lot of it is actually on video. Nevertheless, we don't have to go into that. But I'm one of them smart ones. I record things. I absolutely do. Just for evidence. In case they say, oh, yeah, I want to put a case on Frank, will say, oh, wait a minute, you're putting a case on me. Oh, wait a minute. Look through my little files. What about what you said to me? Isn't that cyber libel? What about when you said this or that about me or my girlfriend who's a Filipina? Isn't that defamation? I got all this stuff to protect my ass. That's why I did that with Barry. I was smart with this. That's what I did. Every piece of evidence I had on Barry, and only the juiciest stuff showed up in court. And man, did I have evidence. Evidence about his death threats. Evidence. Who the fuck is out there? Who's out there?
Hi, kids.
Carolers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, no, I'm not bringing. I'm on the phone. You bring it out there. Ayo, 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 ayo. Ah, Feliz Navidad. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Saucy says, not all people care about money. Not all people are motivated by money. Most are. I mean, you got a harem going. Don't you think money has to do with the denominator on that? Okay, but we won't go into that. We won't go into that. But I'm just making a point that some people don't appreciate it. And, I got, like I always said, man, and I meant it. I don't care if you're my blood, you carry my DNA. I don't care. I really don't. If you don't treat me right, I don't care if you're my blood. Okay? That stuff doesn't faze me when it comes to respect. They're like anybody else. They may carry my blood, but if they don't show me respect, I'm not giving it back. I'm just not. I'm old school when it comes to shit like this. Because, let me tell you something, nothing I never said before. My daughter had a decent life growing up until she was forced to leave my house because she didn't respect me. I don't care if she had a slight cold. She went to the doctor. Okay? Dental work. Anytime she needed dental work, got it done. Johnny on the spot. Toothache or whatever. All right? Whatever it was. There wasn't a birthday, there wasn't a holiday that she wasn't taken care of. The best I could. I bought her first bike. Her mother never did. It wasn't even in her life or wanted to be. I was the parent that stayed in her life where the other was running off to be with boys. Where the boys are, that's where she was. She wasn't interested in her weekend privileges of spending time with her daughter, and that's a woman. You would think they'd want to spend time with the daughter, but you see, I got custody. Not only did I get custody, but she was paying me child support. How many guys ever get that deal? You know why? Because I'm smart. It's never going to happen the other way around. She's the one that did wrong. And you think I was going to let her have the kid and me pay her child support? Fuck that shit. It wasn't going to happen, bro. Yeah. That wasn't going to happen, man. That was not going to happen. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. How many males get custody of their child, but specifically a female child? You hardly ever hear that happen. It always winds up with the mother. But I got my daughter. I got her. Well, I was living in an actual house, not a trailer park with the grandmother. We had 2 dogs, which was her dogs and mine. Her school was not far away, and whatever friends she had was there. She wasn't going to live with her grandmother who hardly talked, and she was kind of creepy. While her mother would say that she was spending time with her on the weekends when she brought her over there and got picked up and brought over there. But she was out with her sister looking for guys and getting laid. Well, she left my daughter with the grandmother that my daughter didn't even feel comfortable with. It was a horrible situation, man. It really was. I got her out of that. toot sweet. Anyway, bottom line is I got custody, and you know, she didn't give a shit, really, when you think about it. No responsibility, more interested in the boys. How many kids were out there? Oh, what did you buy? Ice cream? No.
Ayaw.
I'll take it. Give me it. Put it in my mouth. Ah. Let's see. Let me see the spoon. Well, now that you got it out, put it in my mouth. That's it. Put it in my mouth.
Sorry. Yummy.
Is that Neapolitan? The 3 flavors?
4.
4.
4 flavors.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been a pretty good boy with sugar. See, went off and bought some ice cream. Very dangerous around here. So I hope you people get my point. I'm surprised I'm even doing a show here, because I've been laying back just listening to shows. But you can be generous, but sometimes people don't appreciate it.
4 flavors.
Mmm. Oh, I know what that is. It's a combination of ube in there. Ube. There's ube in there, right? Yeah, some ube.
Strawberry, chocolate, strawberry.
Strawberry, chocolate, and strawberry.
Vanilla.
And vanilla. Oh my goodness.
Chocolate.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's pretty good, I must admit. I hate having that kind of shit around. You want me to get diabetes? I'll take it. Oh my goodness. Oh, too good. That's a weakness. Don't put ice cream around me, man. Especially if I'm in a mood to have a snack or something. I mean, that's terrible. 1 thumbs up. Wow. But anyway, I think you guys get my point. Sometimes you can't tell somebody everything. For example, I'd probably say about 70%. No, I would say only 30% of the things I ever talk about on YouTube that are considered personal do I ever get out. 30%. I do not tell the rest of the stories. And there's so many of them that I don't divulge on my channel. And a lot of people I know, they think, well, Frank, man, he's a pretty personal guy. You know, we learned all this stuff about him. No, there's a lot of stuff you don't know about me. It's good stuff, not bad stuff. But that I will not divulge on my show. I just will not, because good things can be used against me too. It don't matter, good or bad. They'll try to use something against you. But like I said, you do something good for people, sometimes they don't appreciate it, you know. All this advice I get out on here, I don't make no money from this fucking shit show. It's a shit show. You know, no gain. Everybody's over there trying to make as much money as they can, and they're selling t-shirts and fucking baubles or whatever the fuck they're selling their soul so they can survive in the Philippines. Fuck, man. If I had to depend on YouTube to survive, I'd be in bad shape. Because I wouldn't make shit. I wouldn't make shit. So a lot of people scratch their head, well, gee, isn't everybody on here because they can get monetized and make money? Yeah, 99.99% of vloggers are working on or are monetized. And that's their whole shtick of making money on here so they can survive. But what if they didn't have their YouTube? They'd be all going back to their country. Because the problem is that everybody got so used to making money on YouTube that if they lost it, for example, I don't know, the channel got taken down or you know, YouTube disappeared or some disaster happened, whatever, right? They'd be in shit shape without it. That's why, in fact, you're seeing more of these known vloggers on here doing more and more shows, multiple shows a day now, where in the past, maybe to do once a week or something like that, but now some of the same players you're used to are coming on a lot more often. They want to get the viewing hours in, all this shit. And there's money to be made. They got to put on some shorts too. They have to, they know how to do it. Clickbait, all that crap, And you're familiar with all the players with the clickbait, and you know all the names of people that do that. And a lot of the shows are indeed choreographed, like Slim, where he comes home and the wife automatically she's jumping on him, giving him a kiss, because that's in the script. It's in the script. He brings her back something, food. And she's like shoving it in her mouth like Renzero's girlfriend at the time, Chixie. Every time she was on a show, her mouth was moving. And she used to be waif thin to being obese. Because, people were buying her stuff and candies, and she was eating up all the shit that people were sending her in the mail and stuff. And she turned into be a beluga, True. Am I lying? You all see what she looked like now. You all seen what she looked like back then. Don't forget, I met her in person a couple of times. So she was very thin. Modern day, she's all puffed out, and she's still, when she does a few shows here and there, throwing food down her esophagus, So, I don't know. I don't know. People are going to be people. They're going to be people. But I did a show the other day, and I was talking about how people just don't understand what's going around in their world. They're so concerned about what somebody does or says on their YouTube channel, and when there's so many important things going on out there, how could your life come down to that? Well, that's all you do. That you don't come up with any topic matter that has any international elements to it, national elements to it, science elements, environmental elements, philosophical elements. I do it all. Throw in a little comedy and entertainment. I do it all. I'm a one-man show. I got the violin, I got the drum, I got everything going. I got the percussion going, I got everything going. One show. I can go through 10 topics in one show. And I remember all the trolls saying, Frank never has any topic matter. Well, it keeps people coming to my show, and if I didn't have any topic matter at all, there would be absolutely nobody coming to my show at all. There'd be crickets out there. Sometimes I get 45 people, rare lately. 25, average of 15, 16, 17, according to what time I come on. It's not a lot of people, but they all come back. And then I hear people making lame comments about me on other shows, and if I decide to put a comment down there, I'd write, but yet you still watch me. But yet you know what's going on. Some guy says, Frank, recently, Frank put 5 hours of showtime in today. Of course, I never put 5 hours of shows in any day. And I would write and say, but yeah, and you spent those 5 hours watching me. So you're trying to insult me, but you're insulting yourself. How would you know if I spent 5 hours unless you spent 5 hours listening to me? See how that works? It's funny, I know. Anyway, not too much more to say, but the show's about a lot of things. Greed and lack of respect. Expecting to get respect back when you don't respect somebody. All that kind of shit. That's what it really comes down to. And that, as it happened with my kid, other people, yeah. My brother once helped me out when he had an injury, going back 35 years, whatever it was. And of course, he was in his drug days. Here's another example of something here. And it was returned with the same favor. And here's what happened. Brother had a really bad injury from a truss of an old building that fell on him. I mean, we had the cracked skull out of. He had he had a rod in his leg. He could have died, So instead of waiting, he could have settled out for a lot of money. He could have waited. Okay, he wound up getting something like around $80,000, which was even a lot of money at that time. It was. And most of it went up his nose and parting. It was a shame. But he did give me $5,000. I said, well, at it because maybe you could, you know, we know where that money's going to go. It's going to go up your fucking nose. You could have helped put a fund together for your niece, my daughter, you know? He didn't even do that. He'd be taking chicks to Vegas. Big timer. Big timer. Taking chicks to Vegas. Fucking doing coke and going out drinking like there was no tomorrow. Only thing he did worthwhile was he bought this fucking... And even that didn't work out. He bought this trailer home off Highway 99 in Everett, Washington. He had so many people coming over there that he had to get out of there. People looking to get drugs or something. Whatever. And it was obvious. My brother kept the blinds closed, everything. And there's people watching this shit. So he wound up selling it to some Mexicans. And it wasn't even for money. It was for fucking drugs. Mexicans bought the place on drug money or some shit. I can talk about that because I can look back on this now. And I could say how sad, or I could laugh at this. So he gave me, when he made money on that, he gave me a lousy $5,000. By that time, I was still helping my brother back in those days. Boy, I boarded him when he had no place to live. And he gives me $5 fucking thousand. He's lucky he gave me anything, to be honest with you, but he only gave me $5,000. But I used that money to buy towards that 2 acres I bought in Hawaii. So I did something good with the money, okay? I was smart. I put it toward that land in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii. So the money went to good purpose. So, to bring the story more forward, when it came time that I sold my house in Hawaii, maybe he thought he had a big check coming to him. No way. I said, hey, if you gotta move because I'm selling the house, don't worry. You're covered. Whatever you need. Whatever you need. I threw him $5,000, like he threw me $5,000. Even Steven. Because what I did for him, I've even given him cars when I was getting something else. I'd help him with his mechanic work, get this car fixed, get him out of sticky situations. I was practically his nursemaid. I had to move on. And I remember all the times that he was going manic on me, you know? All the stress I went through with him. I think, see, I have a good memory for this shit. I said, I'll help him out because he's my brother. But he didn't help me out when I needed it. When he got that nice big chunk of money from his accident, throws me $5,000, but then probably went out the same day and put $5,000 up his fucking nose. So, dysfunctional family members? I would say so. I would say so. Very dysfunctional. Even my own daughter. I know what you're going to say. Oh my God, how Frank's talking about his daughter. Well, like I said, facts on my show, not bullshit. I don't hide anything. That's the way it went down with her. She was not appreciative of my advice. She even leaves me in Hawaii on my birthday. She was selfish in that way. And daughter or no daughter, man, she's still a human. And I will react the way I did with her like I react with anybody. If you don't show me respect, blood or not, I'm not going to give you it back. I'm just not. And rightfully so. I have the right to do that. As anybody else would. She could have made $50,000 on me. 50 big ones. 50. And she could have went out and bought a brand new van with it and had money left over at that time. But she lost out on $50,000. She don't even know this unless she's listening to me. I don't know what time it is over there, but perhaps she would be listening to me because no, what time would it be there? It might be overnight there. He's talking about if she's still in Washington State. I'm not sure what time would be there. I know if she was in New York or something, it'd be like a 12-hour difference, but you know, nevertheless, she lost out big fucking time with me, man. Big time. That's what happens. You don't show somebody appreciation. You don't respect them. you're not going to get it back. And I don't care if it's a family member, I don't care who it is. You're not going to get respect if you don't show it. That's pretty much the show here, guys. As I said, as far as me being on YouTube, your guess is as good as mine. The New Year's is coming, and we'll certainly see what happens there. But I don't really, and haven't had much to say lately, except throw on an upload on something I thought was funny or whatever. I think I have more fun doing that. It's about Trump or something funny. Whatever. I get more enjoyment from that. But that's kind of my story here. That's my story. And people, I think, have too many expectations. I think even people on here have too many expectations of me. Number one, of being on YouTube. Number one, okay. Number two, hoping to catch me in a catchphrase or some situation they could use against me. And they always will find something, of course. They'll tear things apart and stretch the truth just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yeah, no, a lot. But that's the way it is on here. That's the atmosphere on YouTube, you know. They're just waiting. Catch him in something. Catch him in something. Hope he gets deported. Hope he goes to jail. Hope he drops dead. Wow. What a hell of an audience I got out there. They're not on here to hear me do good. They're on here to hear me do bad or something, or catch me doing something bad, or hoping I say something bad, or whatever, you know. They've had a hard time with that, you know. They had a very hard time with that. But I know what I'm saying when I put on a show, okay, and I'm very careful, especially these days, what I talk about. I tend to think a little bit before it comes out of my mouth, where in the past, I just blurt anything out, not thinking of any consequences or anything, you know. But I was still always careful what I said, nevertheless. I've slipped a few times, but out of anger, but I've always got that under control, and was always a lot more careful to think about what I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to talk about it, how it will affect somebody or not. So I'm pretty cool with that, but there's always somebody out there just waiting, and they're salivating. The fucking spit's coming out of their mouth when I put my show on. They got their notes ready. They're recording me or simulcasting me or something sick like that. But hey, then I do it too. I do it too. If I know there's a show done on me and I know who it is, and they said this publicly on YouTube about me or my Filipina, oh, it's recorded already. Trust me, I've got it. You don't have to ask me. Did you ever catch what's his name talking about you the other day on so-and-so's show? I pretty much beat you to the punch on that. Chances are, if somebody was talking in a negative way about me, something I could use very legally, or in regards to my Filipina, I've got it. Oh, trust me, I got it. If I had to play every fucking video of numerous people on here that have been very adverse to me for so many years, that they'd find their ass in a hell of a lot of legal trouble, man. A hell of a lot of legal trouble. I can't save the world, though, you know. I can't do everyone on here. I mean, I could. I probably could afford to, for a while anyway. Even money runs out. But I can't take on the whole world, but I could do my best and pick and select, you know. I could do that. And I have. And the evidence I have on here, on the players, the key players on here, you wouldn't believe what I got. You wouldn't believe it I have. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for something else to happen. And particularly who it is that might be very adverse with me. And I could come out with all this shit and say, you didn't know I had this, did you? Oh, but now you know. Like when Barry got surprised in court when I played that evidence, you should have seen his face. When I say I got evidence, okay? And mine is factual. It's not third party. It's nothing like that. No third party, nothing like that. It wasn't captured off somebody doing a show about me, recording myself. You know, it doesn't measure up in court. It just doesn't. I know because I've tried. And there was certain things they were able to take from me. So I already know this. That third party material does not work. It does not work in the legal system. when it comes to cyber libel or something like that. It doesn't work. And I know, because the only thing that can be accepted by me was visual, showing them on camera the name of the show, how many viewers, that they were on camera. Those are the ones that they're interested in. It would even consider, no guarantee they take it, but that's the only thing they consider. No third-party shit like Replay Channel or something like that. They won't even look at that. They won't even look at that. I know. So I've been through this. I know. If anybody knows, I know. Because I've had some stuff on some people, and they don't even know it, that I had trying to get a case against them. But what happened was the same thing I just talked about. At the time, that was at the time, although I got it all now, but at the time, I did not have the visual evidence that I needed. So I couldn't put something through. And I'm not going to tell you who these people were either. But they were lucky at the time. I didn't have any visual. Only on certain occasions will they take any audible stuff. But now with the insurgence of AI and everything else, they're being a lot more careful. And it's also getting those who put complaints on people under a big strain because an effort because with all the AI and everything going around, even immigration, a lot of people like that, they don't buy into this stuff, because everything could be changed. Your voice, you could be walking down the street and saying something totally different, and some troll, will photograph you or will record you. You're not even on the camera, by the way. You're not even on the camera. You could be walking down the street, as it happened to me, and they put words in my mouth. My voice, the whole thing, even fooled me. And I know what I said when I was walking down the street with my camera. I know what I said. And what they played was nothing of what I said. So, there you go with editing, AI, whatever. It's becoming that advanced that people can do that. They've been doing that the whole time anyway. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. But they're getting more into it now. So, but the courts and the immigration system and all that stuff, yeah, they're privy to that stuff. They understand that. And now I think they have ways of deciphering whether something is an original recording or not. I don't know what they use. As I said, I'm not very technical, but the departments, I know this through the guy I knew that still works for cybercrime, and you know who he is, from him, because they're getting the technology to actually be able to check out a piece of evidence, of video evidence, and whether it's edited or not. And I guess there's ways they can do that. I'm not sure how they do that. As I said, I'm extraordinarily technically challenged. I'm not a geek when it comes to that kind of shit. But apparently the Philippines is coming up into the modern world in some ways, very slowly. And you know how the system works out here, very slowly, but they're doing it. High profile cases, they have to do that. And that's why they have to take some of this material from high profile cases to lesser cases and still use it. They feel an obligation. If you could have a charge against you or something, they want, let me see the evidence. Let me see the visual. Let me hear, did you really call that girl a whore or a prostitute? Well, obviously I didn't, but she said I did. But when push comes to shove, that's what's going to come down to. There's not one person on here that ever heard me call a certain woman that name, because they listen to all my shows. They know it. And since I didn't say it, there's nothing, that I'm going to make up and say, oh no, I didn't say that, when I really didn't say that. But she said that on paper. But how far does that go? Now, as far as I could see, this incident that was going on should have been settled a long time ago, but it hasn't. Because they have issues with this. That's one of the things going on. I won't tell you what the other thing is, but they got issues with that complaint. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Anyway, it's time for me to get off, watch a movie or something. I appreciate your time listening. I don't know when I'll talk to you again, but if I don't talk to you by Christmas, Merry Christmas to all. Let's hope that this new year is a wonderful new year for all of us. There may be a few people up there to change their ways a little bit and behave and utilize whatever years they got left into something positive for themselves and the people around them, and not be so hateful, and try being a little truthful every now and then. Doesn't hurt. It won't kill you. Whatever doesn't hurt you can make you strong too. So you got to think in that way. Whatever adversity you have in your life can make you stronger. I'm gonna have one more, and then I'm gonna watch a movie here. I see some more people are coming on. I was always looking. I'm trying to get off. I see a couple more people who show up on here, but I don't want to. I don't want to stay on too much longer. If you got a question for me before I go, just ask. Basically, but I shared a few things on there were kind of interesting, and the dynamics in a family, what happens when you come into money, things like that. Now out here, oh man, first thing I'm going to tell you, hold on, is that especially out here in the Philippines, you come into money, don't even tell your neighbors, don't tell anybody. We just got back a small sum of money that was kind of, in a partial way, scammed from us. And we just got back that money. And less the interest we should have got back on it. But that was okay. But we got it. I'm extraordinarily happy with this, especially it's the holidays. Well, the holidays were going to be covered anyway. It don't matter. I don't need that money alone to get through a good holiday. We always make a good Christmas here, We always do. Nobody goes without over here. That's the point. Raising my... She never went without. Didn't live a wealthy life, but she never went without. Even she got mad one time. That's how I knew she watched my shows. Is that she came on some troll show one time and they were saying that Frank abuses his daughter. Well, she at some point got tired of hearing this. Here's the thing. It's not that my daughter doesn't love me. I'm sure she does. But she's so stubborn and set in her ways. I guess like father, like daughter in some ways anyway. She came on and said, hey, my father has never fucking abused me. I remember that comment. I should have screenshotted it or something. And I knew the name she was going. I knew it was her. And she actually spoke out. Wow, I was proud of her at that point. I really was. My daughter was never abused, nor would I abuse anybody's children. I got 2 of them living right here. Okay, they're very happy kids. They sing, they smile, they whistle. They're happy here. They're being taken care of. That's who I am. No matter what you hear about me, it's just people trying to pull your chain. That's all it is. And hope to get a reaction from you. That's their whole MO. And if you haven't figured it out yet, then I guess you never will. I figured it out a long time ago. That's why I got all this thick skin, because if you heard it once, you heard it a couple of hundred other times. Not just from one person. They want to share the wealth, if you know what I mean, but not wealth of the money. The wealth of being able to have the freedom on here to say what they want against somebody and figure that they can get away with it. But not everybody does. Not everybody does. I can think of one person in particular that didn't get away with it. So, with that being said, I thank you for listening. If you don't mind, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night with my sweetie and watch a movie or something. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I think there's not one show that goes by with me you don't learn something about something. That's why you come here. Maybe not in the hundreds, but you still come. The trolls still come. The very people that are always mocking me and knocking me and saying something about my show, but yet they come and watch it or listen to it, whatever. They're always there. I have a shit show. Okay. You don't have to come and listen to me. But they do. If my show is that much shit that even they wouldn't want to listen. But no, they're trying to find fault with what I say. That's the only reason they come. And they want to know what's going on. What's going on in this dude's life? We need to know everything. We want to know all the details about this guy so we could put it in a little book. Go back to the notes like Fazio did. Okay, put the date and time on there when I said something and hope that they can use that against me. Suggestion: get a life.